Hi, my name is Ozlem. I live in Paris, France, and in this video, I'd like to speak to you about my experience working with Susan in the past 2 months. Susan came into my life at the moment I needed her most. I was struggling in different areas of my life, and one evening in conversation with the divine, with my guardian angels, I asked them to bring a channel on my path because I felt fearful and I didn't feel I could hear or feel or sense the presence of the divine, of God, of my guardian angels, spirit guides in my life. I couldn't feel their presence and I couldn't hear their guidance, I felt. And so I asked them to bring a channel on my path into my life so that I could hear their guidance and feel reassured and know what to do so that I could have that clarity. And literally the next day, the very next day, Susan came into my life. And I'm infinitely grateful that she did. Before our first channeling session, I felt fearful, contracted, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to resolve the situation that I was dealing with. And I felt unsupported, unsafe. And then during the channeling session, what first surprised me was really Susan, in the first half of the channeling session, she reflected back to me what I already sort of knew or felt on some level of my being. But you know how it is when you're a fear, there's just a lot of doubt and uncertainty. So that inner knowing, my own inner knowing, was clouded by fear and doubt. Was this really like guidance from higher up, sort of higher from above, or was this just my own sort of wishful thinking? So, but essentially, Susan, she reassured me that no, it was actually those thoughts that I had, those insights were actually guidance from my helpers in heaven, from above. And what also sort of astounded me was really sort of her perceptive abilities, because she knew details of the situation that I hadn't told her before. And so in the second half of the channeling session, there was also a lot of new guidance, sort of new information that came through. And she was also able to share sort of very concrete action steps that I could take to resolve the situation. So when I went into the channeling session, I felt all fearful and contracted, but on the other side of it, I mean, I felt reassured, peaceful for the first time in a long time, expansive, and that is priceless, really. If you're fearful, all your body and mind wants is to get out of that fear, and that is what Susan helped me do. And Susan also guessed, or she sensed, more accurately, that there was some ancestral sort of issues that I needed to work on, or that needed to be addressed or looked into. And she was right, because a lot of sort of the experiences I have in life today, they're actually sort of difficulties or challenges that my ancestors experienced too. So we had a second channeling session where we worked on dissolving those sort of repetitive cycles and those inherited sort of intergenerational sort of trauma, essentially repetitive cycles passed on from one generation to the next. And Susan was also able to, she channeled my late father to me, which was a profound experience. Since his passing, I've talked to him telepathically, but I haven't really been able to hear back from him. And yes, thanks to Susan, I was able to have sort of a telepathic, in that sense, conversation with my father. And that was really a profound experience. I really felt, I mean, I feel infinitely grateful for Susan's presence in my life. throughout this whole situation, she's held me by the hand. And if it hadn't been for her presence and her channeling, I would have traversed that period of my life really in fear, in a lot of fear, stress, worry, doubt. But thanks to her and her attunement to higher beings, I was able to traverse the period feeling safe, supported, reassured, and also with clarity. So for that, I'll be infinitely sort of forever grateful to Susan. And if you are struggling in one form or another and you need guidance, clarity, I hope you'll give yourself the gift of working with Susan.